Hello, welcome back. My name's William Pittendrake, and today I thought I would talk about grids. A few of you have asked me to show you a grid that I like to do, so today I'm going to. Excuse the fog, as you'll see it's very foggy, so it's starting to get warm. But yeah, so you should be able to see fine. So the grid I'm going to do with you today is two poles on the long side to a right angle turn, to pole, step over, one stride to our upright, one stride to our spread. Now there's lots of things to consider when you're building a grid. So distance, is your horse short-strided? Is it long-strided? How big is your horse? Is it a pony? Is it a horse? How experienced is your horse? And also, what are you aiming to achieve? So, are you aiming to shorten your horse's stride? Do you want to lengthen your horse's stride? Are we wanting a more punchy, positive canter? Or are we wanting, again, to lengthen that stride? So, on average, a horse that is 15.2 and above, its stride length is 12 feet. Now that is equivalent to 4 of our strides, but to make sure that your 4 strides are the correct stride length, you can get the 12-foot a 12-foot pole and then walk along it, and then if you get 4 strides from one end to the other, that is the correct stride length. So I'll show you with this pole here. So you start at one end, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finish at the other. So that is the correct stride length. Now, again, so if you've got a short stride, so if you're walking 1, 2, 3, 4, you know that isn't correct. And then if you've got a big stride like me, so I have to shorten my stride when I walk my distances. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, I know that's too long. Okay, so a great thing to do is get the 12-foot canter pole and practice that stride length. So today I'm going to be using Silver Locke, also known as Scully. What I want to achieve with him today is just sitting him up a bit more and making him a bit more patient to the fence. So now he's back in work and he's started jumping again. I've found he's getting a little keen. So today I want to use this exercise just to say, come on, let's just wait a moment and let's not rush. So what I'm going to do is have my distances slightly shorter than I would in competition. That way I can aim to sit him up a little bit more and hopefully it'll pay off. So like I said, one horse's stride length is 4 of your strides, but for say a pole to an upright, little step over, I probably have that little bit shorter because the horse isn't having to make that much effort going into it. Okay, so if the fence was bigger, then yes, I would have it a bit wider, but like I say, I'm having it a bit shorter because 1, the horse doesn't have to make much effort, and 2, I'm wanting to sit Scully up. So if I've got this long and I'm having to push him into the fence, I'm not getting the achievement of what I want. So I've got to make it a little bit shorter. So I've set this on 1, 2, 3 yards, okay, well 3 of my strides, okay. And then what you'll see here is I've got a pole in the middle. Now again, that's great to encourage him to sit up a bit more and then get a more of a rounded canter. You'll see it's a coloured pole as well. Now, although I do working hunter, I do like to use coloured poles as my step overs, as I find if I'm using a rustic pole, it can blend into the ground and sometimes the horses can stand on it. So I like to use something coloured so they know it's there and they know that they've got to reach and step over. So when your horse lands and takes off, that is usually 2 of your strides, again for a 15.2 hand horse and above. So I'm going to walk my distance now. So 1, 2, we're going to land. 1, 2, 3, 1 stride. and then 1. Okay, so you'll see it's a yard short. So remember, we said we're making it a little shorter so we can aim to sit him up a bit more. And again, 1, 2 for landing. 1, 2, 3, 1 stride, 1. So again, it's 1 stride. One of my paces short again. So again, just help sit him up a little bit more so you get a little bit more of a powerful canter. So that really helps engage him a bit more, and it's also going to stop him from rushing. Fingers crossed. So I've shown you the straight part of the exercise now. So the beginning of it, you'll see I've got my 2 white poles. Now, for a young horse, I wouldn't do this because it's quite a lot to ask them to sit back and wait on the turn. So for a young horse, I would just use my nice straight line to begin with. But because Scully's experienced, he's been to the Royal International Boys, all the major championships, blah blah blah. This is going to be great for him to just say, come on, sit up on that turn and really stop him from drifting in, because again, that's something he really does. So if I use this right angle turn, it's going to really help keep control of that inside shoulder to stop it from drifting in, okay? So I'll walk this distance here. Now for a pole, it should be, for him, usually it's on 3.5, but again, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. So a little bit shorter than usual, but it's not crazily short. So then I come over my poles, and then what I'll do, I'm going to land, and then I'm going to leg yield out. So again, that's going to just control them a bit more, stop them drifting in. Leg yield to the fence line, sit them up, and then you'll see I've got my 2 tram poles. Okay, so that's going to help keep them straight, and then down my distance. Let's see how we get on. Now, it's also important to remember when I start my grids, I don't obviously start with it completely established. So I always start from beginning and then add in my bits further and further along the grid. So what I'll start with is I'll just start with my 2 poles, and then I'll probably canter through my tram line and then over the 1 pole.
Hello, I'm just cutting in. As you'll have seen, I set the exercise up on the edge of the arena. Now, it wasn't until I was actually riding the exercise that I realised I had to do it all on 1 rein. First of all, as I would have to keep changing the poles around, so it was equal on both reins. So what I had to do is I had to do all of the exercise on 1 rein and then all of the exercise on the other rein. If I'd been sensible, I'd have set the exercise up in the centre of the arena. That way I could work equally on both reins, as I'd have had 2 white poles on each side of the straight grid. That way I can ride on both reins without having to swap everything around. Don't do what I did and set it up on the edge if you want to make life easy for you. Again, if you're in a field, that should be okay as well, because then you can ride it equally on both reins. All you need to do is just get 2 more poles so you can put it on the other side of the grid. Anyway, so I've edited it as to how the exercise should be done, so it's equal on both reins, so you get an idea of how to do it properly. I'll let you watch it now.
really happy with how Scully worked there. He was definitely in a lot more control towards the end. He's a lot more snappy through his fences, which is what we aimed for. To be fair, I almost thought I could have shortened it a little bit more. I had that much control, but for today I'm quite happy with just keeping it a bit more simple for him, not make it too difficult. But yeah, really happy with him. He was a lot more control, better canter. I hope you learned something from it. Hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.